Tonight on Q2, from heartbreak to a hopefully happy ending.
Words can't express it at all. Yeah, we're beyond grateful.
Family's 3 horses recovering after a scary crash, and now the community is pitching in to help. Plus, inside a devastating blaze.
It's just a step-by-step process. We have to try to rebuild. It's really, really hard.
A Billings family loses decades of memories as their home goes up in flames, but their neighbors are now rallying to lift them back up. The MTN 530 News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Russ Riesinger. Well, first tonight, horse havoc on the highway. A Havoc couple experienced one of their worst nightmares when 3 of their beloved horses were involved in a scary accident on Interstate 90 near Huntley. Our Kelsey Boggs was on the scene Sunday and today caught up with the owners to find out how the horses are recovering and how the community is stepping up to help the family.
The 3 horses were transported to Montana Equine here in Billings following the crash. They all survived but suffered differing injuries that will require much time and money to recover from.
I grew up with horses my whole life.
Megan Holt has always had a heart for horses.
I take very good care of them, and I mean, they're part of me.
She grew up on a small ranch in Chinook, 20 miles east of Havoc. Her now husband, Kenny, also grew up with horses, but went all in when marrying Megan.
One Christmas, Megan and I actually met, and we started dating, and
went from there.
yeah, and now I'm a horse guy.
The two are now expecting their first child together.
We're just over 6 months, so yeah, we're over halfway.
But with 4 horses to care for, the Holts were offered some help from some out-of-state friends.
They were like, yeah, just send them down here and we'll take care of them, and you guys worry about your pregnancy. So that was the plan. We were super excited about it.
3 of their horses were headed to Nebraska on Sunday when disaster struck.
And they were like, we got in a wreck. Everybody's okay, but you need to come back. It's a phone call you never want to have.
I-90 was covered with ice. The horse trailer jackknifed and ended up on its side in the median along with the pickup truck that it was being pulled by. Once the Holts found out, they headed to the scene.
We turned right around. We're actually the ones that picked up the horses.
Luckily, the driver, passenger, and their 6-year-old son were okay, and all 3 horses survived, but not without injury.
They knew. They're like, we need help. Hopefully, we'll all make a full recovery.
Doolittle, Yellow, and Koa were transported to Montana Equine in Billings, where Dr. Green jumped into action.
We had gotten a photo before they arrived, of the trailer and the wreck itself, so I was pretty concerned. But, when they showed up, all 3 horses, walked right off the trailer. I thought they actually were doing pretty well, all things considered.
She said things like this don't happen often, but luckily the team at Montana Equine knew just what to do.
It's our priority to make sure that the patients are, cared for first and foremost, but also, a big part of vet medicine is also taking care of the clients as well.
The Holts are just grateful their horses are okay, and for the outpouring of support from the community.
Words can't express it at all. We're beyond grateful.
I just hope that we can pay it forward down the line.
In Billings, Kelsey Boggs, MTN News.
A Billings family is being forced to pick up the pieces after a fire last Friday left them devastated, and their house, as you see here, a complete loss. Those flames taking 42 years of belongings with them, leaving the family's future up in the air. Tonight, our Charlie Kleps reports on how the community is rallying behind the Andersons, helping in any way they can.
This is what's left after Sherry Anderson's home of 42 years was tragically burned down last Friday, destroying everything she owned. It's a devastating circumstance for her and her family, but thankfully she's had a lot of community support.
I had a trunk here. It's my grandpa's.
It's hard to imagine this pile of rubble was once a home. 42 years worth of memories reduced to ashes.
This was our home. Everything's gone.
Charred remains that are almost too painful for this grandmother to bear.
I don't want to look at it. There's too many memories there.
The emotions overwhelming from a night they'll never forget.
I was scared, shocked, and really surprised that my home is burning down.
That was indescribable. 5 fire trucks here and just come running up to the house like, what's going on?
It happened at about 3 in the morning last Friday, while most in the house were asleep. Fortunately, Cherie's 14-year-old grandson Ashton sprung into action.
I wasn't sad or anything. I was really stressed and worried. and I just did what I thought at the moment was the best thing to do.
Ashton quickly woke up his grandma and sister, rushing them out of the house.
And all I was able to get was just a pair of pants and a sweatshirt.
And while the family made it out with their lives, everything from her glasses
She lost her hearing aids
to photo albums and personal keepsakes were lost.
I lived here for 42 years, so take from there. I mean, it's everything I owned.
Cherie's neighbors were unwilling to just sit back and watch.
Where's she gonna go? What is she gonna do?
Carla Fehrenbruck and others in the Golden Meadows trailer park formed a GoFundMe, hoping to help Cherie and her 2 grandchildren get back on their feet.
If it were my family, I would want somebody to do the same thing.
A gesture that means the world to this grandma.
Thank you, everybody, for the donations. Every little bit helps. What do you say?
A woman now forced to pick up the pieces and start over.
She just wants to go home, back to her inside her home. It's not there.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
It was a little hit and miss with the temperatures this afternoon, but the clouds started to break, temperatures started to warm. Billings today right at its 30-year average for the high at 53 degrees and started off pretty close at 26. But we also saw the winds kick up a bit to 36 miles an hour. And regionally, some of those stronger winds, especially from Billings, not surprisingly, back in towards the Livingston area. In fact, all down the east slopes of the Rockies, that aided with a warm-up as we started getting into the afternoon today. Statewide temperatures for the reports that we have, 40s, 50s for most of the readings today, but notice the exception from Glasgow, Wolf Point, only in the 20s to low 30s for the highs, but we will see a warm up tomorrow. Forecast details a few minutes from now.
Some in Congress are calling for an investigation into claims that the IRS may be monitoring Americans' private transactions and bank accounts. Wyoming Representative Harriet Hageman is one of the members of the House Judiciary's Select Subcommittee on Weaponization of the Federal Government. The committee has requested that the Treasury and Justice Departments preserve documents and other materials that may help with an inquiry. They also want to interview an IRS agent who is heard on video of an investigative report talking about the IRS's use of AI to monitor bank accounts of American citizens.
It was an undercover interview, and this gentleman who works on this project, he works for the IRS, and he described how they have developed an AI program that allows them to look into any company throughout the entire world, and they can access any person's bank account.
Fairly confident that they have also got human oversight so that if the AI says, hey, it's time to audit these 10 people, I'm sure humans are reviewing that to make sure we should be reviewing these 10 people. They need to have the same kind of skepticism that we all need to have.
John Pinnell is a computer systems and technology instructor at City College. While he does not have concerns with the IRS, he advises everyone to use caution when inputting information on free apps. Additional funding could soon be coming to bridge the digital divide and open doors to greater opportunities in the Treasure State. Today, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, or NTIA, approved the state's plan to address disparities in digital access, skills, and affordability in Montana. The approval allows Montana to compete for new federal funding to continue broadband expansion efforts across the state. Expanding access to reliable internet is a central element of Governor Greg Gianforte's Montana Comeback Plan, one that has seen nearly $1 billion in improvements over the last 3 years. The Montana Supreme Court has struck down 4 election-related bills passed by the 2021 legislature, ruling that they violated the fundamental right to vote. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian breaks down the decision.
A nearly 3-year case challenging 4 voting-related bills ended up here at the Montana Supreme Court. The 7 justices were significantly split, but the effect is that a majority of the court ruled all 4 bills were unconstitutional. Courts consolidated a series of lawsuits from the Montana Democratic Party, tribes, and Native and youth voting groups, challenging 1 or more of the bills. They included eliminating Election Day voter registration, saying 17-year-olds who will turn 18 before Election Day couldn't get an absentee ballot, a ban on paying someone to collect absentee ballots, and a requirement that people using student IDs to vote show additional identification. Chief Justice Mike McGrath wrote the majority opinion and said the legislature had authority to regulate elections, but not to do it in a way that interferes with the freedom and openness of elections. 3 justices agreed with him that all 4 bills were restricting the right to vote, and the state hadn't justified the need for them. 2 dissenting judges, led by Justice Dirk Sandifer, said the majority went too far, and the decision was, quote, unrestrained judicial power. They said all of the bills except the one dealing with 17-year-olds should have been left in place. Justice Beth Baker supported keeping that bill, but overturning the other 3. Plaintiffs said the court's ruling was a big win for young people and Native Americans' access to vote. The Montana Secretary of State's office said in a statement that they were devastated by the decision, but they remained committed to pursuing election integrity measures. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
The Federal Trade Commission is now taking a closer look at TikTok. 2 sources say the agency is launching an investigation for an alleged violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule. Officials are also investigating a potential violation of the FTC Act, which prohibits deceptive acts that affect commerce. So far, no official comment has come from the FTC or TikTok. The investigation comes amid a growing congressional push to possibly ban TikTok from the U.S. TikTok previously said it denies allegations that the platform is a national security threat to U.S. citizens. Well, still ahead on the MTN 530 News here on Q2, a happy and meaningful homecoming. We'll take you inside an inspirational ceremony as acclaimed actress Lily Gladstone returned home. And in sports, batter up. West looks to once again be golden on the diamond as the new softball season approaches. We'll hear from our athletes of the week coming up in just a bit.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
It was a big day for members of the Blackfeet Nation who welcomed home one of their own yesterday. Hollywood rising star Lily Gladstone was honored in a sacred tradition of medicine and healing. MTN's Brianna Junot takes a look behind the cultural significance of the indigenous headdress.
In an inspirational ceremony rich in tradition and acknowledgement, acclaimed actress Lily Gladstone was bestowed with a sacred headdress by the Blackfeet tribe.
People said, we want to give her a headdress. We want to honor her. And so that's why they're doing that.
And it's connected to our ways of life, our spirituality, our ceremonies, our songs, our rituals. And that's what this represents.
The ceremony, held at the New Arbor for the Lily Gladstone Day event, served as a moment of recognition for Gladstone. The headdress, adorned with beadwork and eagle feathers, holds a profound significance within the Blackfeet culture.
In our way in Blackfeet, you call the headdress Sami, which means also medicine. So in our way, it's a form of medicine. It's very spiritually powerful. When you honor these people, you're also offering them healing and medicine.
When you get a headdress, it's a spiritual experience, and it's hard to describe the spirit, but it's a movement within yourself, and it's an acknowledgement that people are appreciating what you have done.
The ceremony was attended by members of the Blackfeet tribe from all 4 bands: the South Piegan, the North Piegan, the Siksika, and the Ghana, who gathered to celebrate Gladstone's accomplishments.
But when she got up there on national TV, internationally, Golden Globes, the Academy Awards, I know a lot of people were emotional. You could feel it, and this was a good way to showcase. And a lot of times, we gather for various reasons, but this is a beautiful reason to get together.
With this honor, Gladstone will continue to inspire and preserve the culture for future generations. In Browning, Pita Sapuaki, Brianna Juno, MTN News.
Ed joins us again. We got a pretty cool picture from one of our viewers that we want to share.
Yeah, and really we have to say it's pictures. As you take a look at this shot from Leon, that's the International Space Station scooting across Wyoming. And Cody last night, he actually put together 10 different photos to come up with that one great photo that came together. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Come back, take a look at the forecast up next.